I'm Tom Johnson, Thomas Johnson Antique Furniture Restoration in Gorham, Maine. This is, believe it or not, this is a small Victorian desk, late Victorian double pedestal desk made of quarter sawn oak. I saw it about 30 some years ago. It was not in good shape then, but I could see what it was, and then it got left in a barn, bad conditions. I'm determined to see if I can't put it back together. First thing I'm going to do is vacuum everything. I'm going to take them out of the box, pieces out, vacuum them, start laying them out on the floor so I can see what I got. There are a lot of pieces here. In fact, there's quite a few pieces I came across that I'm not sure they belong to this desk or not, but we'll be finding out. Next step, I'm going to wash all these. Per the instructions on the back of this crud cutter, I'm going to mix a solution, 10 parts water, 1 part crud cutter. That's what they say for all-purpose cleaning. And I'm going to throw maybe a cup of vinegar in this too. So that's roughly 150 milliliters of crud cutter, or maybe 1.5 liters of water. I'm going to throw in another 150 milliliters of white vinegar. That'll help kill the mold. I didn't see any mold, but you know, I'm running into a bunch of pieces here that appear to me to be parts of the interior fitments of a roll-top desk. And this is not a roll-top desk. So I don't know what the story is on these. That's just the first bucket. I've done maybe 25%. Maybe 30% of the piece yet, so there'll be at least 2, maybe 3 more of these buckets. All right, wow, the last piece. I've got this thing spread out all over this end of the shop. I can't wait to try putting it together. Some things I saw just were obvious, but there's a lot of pieces here. I think there's pieces here that don't even belong with this piece, but we'll be finding out. We haven't talked about the top yet, and we're not going to until I know I have 2 pedestals. This is the part I've been looking forward to. I can start piecing it back together. I'm going to start with the sides. There's lots of sides pieces here that are, partially assembled, and that's where I'll start. So right off the bat here, you can see there's a single drawer here with 2 rails. This tells me, there's a door, so this the door must swing in and close there, something like that. So I'll look for this bottom piece. And by the way, these panels, I'm going to replace all these panels. I already bought the 1/4 inch plywood that I need. We'll talk about that later. So now I'm thinking this piece doesn't go here. This one does. Only because these slots match up, and I have no idea what these slots are for. Now this is definitely the back of one of the pedestals, and I don't think this one, because this is a corner piece and this is a corner piece. And so this piece is part of the pedestal, and I think it's this one. Someone put a screw here, and there's a screw hole down in there where the screw came through. So I think this one's going to go here. And I found this piece, which looks to me like the back of a pedestal. No, because there's no slot here. There's no slot here matching these to accept the panel. This must be the bottom where that door is. This is the door. I'll put this along with that. Here's a piece that looks about right. I know this is the upper part of the pedestal because here's a hole for a screw to hold the top on. And this mortise matches the marks right here. Okay, now I need to piece together this side of the cabinet. I have two sides here, but I know that neither one is right. They go to the other pedestal. It's easy to see that these are the sides to the other pedestal because they're all set up for the drawers. These are the mortises for the rails. So these are two sides of the other pedestal. Oh yeah, right here you can see the mortises all line up. So this is the other side. It's going to go here. Now these pieces, the rails that go between drawers and stuff, it's hard to know which one goes where. They're all the same. But this one has a smooth top, and there's a slider that goes in here. So I'm kind of guessing that one's there. Put it in there for now. I'm going to try all these here. It should have a smooth bottom though. The slot indicates possibly for a lock. This has a slot too. It's hard to know. Now, I think this one goes here because this one I said I think is for the door opening, and that mortise fits, and then this one fits right into that slot. I can't get that one up into position yet. I think that goes there. I'm very unsure about this piece. Do I dare try to stand this up? I'm just not sure. All right. Looks like something. So this door goes there. This drawer happened to be marked right, and this is the right side pedestal. So drawer goes in here. Well, I'll fit that later. All right, now for the left side pedestal. It's easy to see that this piece goes here, so I need the top piece and the bottom piece. So I've got these two pieces which I originally discounted because they have this weird cutout, but they are the proper length, and these slots and everything, these are the side pieces here for this panel. How am I going to do this? See, the delaminated panels are preventing me from getting these pieces in the proper position, but I'm just trying to force it a bit. I just want to make sure everything's here before I start taking these panels out. I need this piece. Wow, I think I am missing a piece. This style right there. I've been sorting everything out. I've assembled all the pieces that I know now go with this desk. I'm a little unsure about this one, but I have an idea. Yeah, I was absolutely correct when I said that there's a lot of pieces that don't go with it. All these pieces too, but none of them are for this desk, which is what I suspected all along. So I said to myself in the beginning, if I needed to make any pieces, I wasn't sure I was going to do this job, but it's come down to just one missing piece. Given everything else that I have to do, I think I'll go ahead and make it, and then I'll start taking these panels out, reassembling it, and then making new panels. Okay, so far this seemed a little straightforward, but now it's not. A piece like this is missing. It's one of these pieces. And I'm getting ready to make a new one, and I noticed there's some differences, so I decided to make sure I have all these in the right place so I know which one of these I'm missing. And I noticed something. And it has to do with this set of cubby holes. I remembered this from 30 some years ago because it has this distinctive scalloped edge, and it was unusual. And it wasn't what you might think. It was inside the cabinet. And I thought so far that it'd be behind that door, but not. There's an opening here. I noticed that this opening didn't have a panel. See, that side doesn't have a mortise, this side doesn't have a mortise, and the piece I was holding in my hands as a sample isn't mortised. That cubby hole sits inside here, and this is open, I think. So I've got to do two things here. I got to take these pedestals back apart, put this one where I think it goes on the bottom, look for another piece that has no mortise. If there isn't, then that would be the piece I need to make. But I also want to reassemble these cubby holes and fit them in that cabinet. I need to see how they fit, if they fit, and how they fit. So I'm taking this piece out of there. I'll put this piece in here. And that gives me 3 smooth sides without mortises as an opening. This still has a mortise, but maybe it just does. So I'll put this one here because I know that this is the inside of the pedestal, and this piece doesn't have any screw holes like the outside pieces do. This may be the piece I'm missing here. The outside upper rails have pockets in them for screw holes where they attach to the top, and the bottom corresponding bottom pieces do not have a screw hole. So right now I feel pretty confident that this is the piece I'm missing. It's the upper rail facing the desk, the left-hand pedestal, the outside. But I still want to figure out that cubby hole box and this opening. I'm pretty much convinced, this is the opening, obviously, that cubby holes fit in here, but what's this piece of drawer runner doing sticking into the opening? Okay, this is where I'm at in my thinking here. Okay, the door goes here, we know it goes here. You open the door, and inside there you have these cubbies, and you have this bigger space to put portfolios or bigger things in. And it has this nice decorative edge there. This opening in the back of this pedestal still remains a mystery. There clearly has never been anything here. The back of the cubby hole thing I just put in the front, and this back panel, they have pieces of wood here to hold a shelf in here. So this could be a bookcase. And there's one other, but there's still one especially odd thing. On this vertical stile, it looks like it's been drilled for hinges at one time. But it appears that those holes were never used. And we still have this drawer runner, which runs into the space and has an extra block of wood glued to it, which looks suspiciously like a stop for a door. I don't know that I'm ever going to solve the mystery of this opening. And so I'm just going to leave it be for now. I'll find the piece that made up the floor there. I'll put a floor in it, stuff, and put a shelf in it. I'm not about to go try making a door. If I wanted to make a door for this opening, I would make it to look exactly like this door. But I'm not even about to do that right now. I'm going to concentrate on getting the rest of this thing together. Think about this for a while. Okay, making that missing piece, the top rail of the left pedestal, I've glued together a couple of scraps. They don't exactly match, but I'll deal with that. That's better. Now I need to cut this dado into my new board to allow for the panel. Okay, now next I need to cut pocket holes in this, which are used for the screws that attach to the top. These are the pocket holes. They're a great help in determining what went where also. So, what am I going to do about these panels? They are a mess. So what I did was buy a sheet of 1/4-inch plywood faced with quarter sawn white oak, which is the same wood that the desk is made of. This is beautiful wood, actually my favorite wood. And actually, oddly enough, I didn't realize that their panels, the original panels, weren't made out of quarter sawn oak. They're a weird kind of rotary cut oak. I don't know if it's red or white. And these panels are actually going to be a lot nicer. So I'm scraping these joints. Now that I have my panels cut, I'm ready to glue this side up. But I discovered this little problem. So I'm going to glue this up first. While that glue is drying, I've got plenty of these slots and joints to clean up. Old glue and dirt and some white paint. This old glue looks like hide glue to me. And that's one reason we use hide glue when regluing these antiques. The thoughts being that I don't need to worry about getting every little bit of it out there. It'll probably reheat with the hot glue and reamalgamate. But I do want to get rid of the chunks of glue that might interfere with the reassembly. Okay, ready for this glue up. As I said before, I like using hide glue This is the particular brand of liquid hide glue I really like. Now remember, these joints are mortise and tenon joints, so it's good to put the squeeze on them this way also. Okay, the next one, ready to glue it up. And this is the panel that goes with the other panel, makes up the left pedestal. Okay, that's number 2. 2 more to go. All right, this is one of those mornings where you can't wait to get in the shop, get these clamps off, get the other 2 panels glued up. So I'm working on the 4th side, got the 3rd one all glued up. Before I glued that panel up, I noticed this piece had breaks and I glued these all up. It had been badly split at both ends. This went back together really well. When I clamp this side up, I'm going to be putting a clamp right here with pressure that way. So I just cut some strips here to fill that while I clamp it. Okay, the 4th and final pedestal side. All right, wow. That's the fourth pedestal side. I can't wait to glue up the pedestals. That'll be something. Now that I've established that I have two pedestals, I can start trying to figure out what I'm going to do about the top. I had never, I did not wash this when I washed the rest of the pieces. I'm going to just vacuum it off right now. Okay, noise alert. So it looks like what we've got here is a pretty thick veneer. I thought it might even been a laminate, but I think it's a very thick piece of veneer, about like 1/16 of an inch or 1.5 millimeters, something like that, and then a solid wood core. The finished thickness of this top is about 13/16 or 20.6 millimeters. I can't tell what kind of wood this is. I think I should see if I can remove these solid wood edge pieces from the panel and replace the panel with a piece of plywood that's faced with quarter-sawn white oak. Well, that was an easy one. I don't think the rest are going to be that easy. Frame all ready, and now I can cut the plywood top. Off camera, I ultimately had to saw these last two off, and then I used a heat gun and a chisel to get that spline out, and a 1/4-inch chisel to really clean it out. I've got a nice piece of 19 millimeter plywood, that's 3/4 of an inch, faced with quarter-sawn white oak veneer. Okay, ready for the glue up. I spent quite a bit of time futzing around. The frame itself isn't really square. I think I got it as best I can. There's nothing that a little bit of wood putty won't take care of. Because of this thumbnail profile on the edge, my clamps were having a tendency to pull it down like that. So I cut these support blocks, which I've screwed to the bottom, and they have this large rabbet to accommodate the fact that the moldings are thicker, a little bit thicker than the piece of plywood. Here you can see I've screwed the block to the bottom. It really helps. I'll be able to slide on the molding, and then I'll be able to use that same block also to clamp this flat, so I know that the center field here of plywood is even with the moldings. I'll be using my favorite hide glue, old brown glue. For this job, you could use regular PVA glue, woodworking glue. It doesn't make that much difference, but I like to use this particular glue. It has a very long working time, which I'll need. That went well. Of course, realized that I had done this about 3 times without glue. You know, making sure everything fit, figuring out how I was going to do it. I can't overemphasize how important it is to glue things up without glue, dry. You can't be figuring it out as you're actually gluing. Okay, let's see what we got. Nice and smooth. That was my biggest concern. I'm really looking forward to finishing the work on this top, but first I've got to get back to these pedestals. You know, I was thinking in terms of I'm going to glue these up, but I quickly realized I need to, number one, I need to install drawer runners while it's apart, and I think I'm going to sand these ahead of time and even treat them with oxalic acid and experiment with staining these panels on the inside before I glue them up. So what I'm doing is just going over these quickly, thoroughly. I'm looking for any problem areas. I'm using 100 grit paper. And really what I'm doing is preparing the surface for the next step. And remember that this piece of furniture, I think it must have been painted white at one time. It was stripped before I ever even first saw it, like over 40 years ago. So I want to break that surface a little bit. So the next step is to treat all these pieces of the desk with oxalic acid. Typically, I'll measure 2 scoops of my little measuring thing here into a quart of water. I should be using a scale. This scoop is a liquid measure, 2 ounces or 30 milliliters, but that's what I use. In this case, I want to make an extra strong solution, so I'm going to measure the oxalic up to this 12-ounce mark. That's 12-ounce liquid. This is a dry powder, which corresponds to 350 milliliters. And I'll mix that in about 4 quarts of water, or let's say 3.8 liters of hot water, hot as I can get it out of the tap. Might as well keep going. This is the first time the desk hasn't looked just like a big pile. Okay, I've let these dry overnight. I'm going to take everything outside. I'm going to rinse it off with a hose. When using oxalic acid, you really want to get rid of all that dust. You don't want to be breathing it while you're sanding or anything like that. Okay, the next step is I'm going to quickly sand the interior of the pedestals. In other words, this is the inside piece. You can see you've got your mortises for the rails, and here's where your drawer runners attach. This is the one chance to stain these panels and seal the interior before I attach the drawer runners and glue the pedestal up. Okay, so I want to stain just the new panels, not the surrounding wood. I went to my stain cabinet. I like these Mohawk stains. I noticed from the beginning that there was a lot of variation in the colors and the grain and even, of the wood. So I reached for the dark golden oak, but that was it was too golden. So I got the medium brown walnut and added some to the golden oak. I felt like that gave me a pretty good compromise. I don't often use oil stains in my work, but they are great for oak, especially good for oak. the stains that you get from the hardware store, I mean, they have their place. They're not very strong, they don't have a lot of colorant, and they're not very versatile. The Mohawk stains have a lot more color in them and a much bigger variety of colors. Really good representation of what I call schoolhouse oak. Anybody of a certain age that went to Victorian era elementary schools is well familiar with this color. They used a lot of oak and chestnut in those schools. It was always this color. Alright, the stain has dried, and I'm going to spray these interior surfaces with 2 coats of shellac. So I sprayed all the interior surfaces. Okay, so now I'm going to assemble both these pedestals. Once again, it's a dry fit without glue. I've still got a mystery about some of these rails for the drawers. A lot you can figure out where they go, like these two. These have a slot in the bottom because the top drawers have locks. This side is smooth because the pull-out slider goes here. Others have drawer stops, which always go on the bottom of the drawer, so these stops catch this drawer from going in too far. The other side is smooth. That's the top of this drawer goes in. But one of these rails has drawer stops on both sides. And that doesn't make any sense to me. This is the one I'm not sure about where it goes. So I dry fit both pedestals. By that I mean I put them together without any glue. Still got a few mysteries here. But the thing I was talking about with the runner that has stops on both sides, I ended up putting that here. This one I discovered has a glue block on the back, and that glue block lines up with the box that goes in here that makes up the compartments. I had noticed that this rail had a glue block attached to it in behind in an unusual place. I realized this is the compartments that go inside, that the top of this shows where that glue block was. So that solves that mystery. But there are other mysteries yet to come. But in the meantime, I'm not going to think about those. I'm going to get this box cleaned up, some finish on it. I still have to re-glue the door that goes here, so that's what I'm going to concentrate on now. Okay, I can get back on this top. I've got to get the glue off of here and smooth these down completely level. I've got to fill in gaps. I'll be using a card scraper, sanding block, 100 grit paper, Thamo wood filler, and a pneumatic straight line sander. Okay, last night I put a coat of varnish on this top. This plywood's still a little light. I'll darken that later. What I want to do is flip it over and get a couple coats of stain and get a couple coats of finish on the underside, and so that I can then continue with this top. And while that's going on, we'll tackle the other pedestal. Okay, I've let the stain dry for a few hours, and now I'll put on my first coat of the varnish. It's been about 8 hours since I put that coat on, so I'm going to put the second coat on, let it dry tonight. I'll keep the heat up. I know I'm pushing it, but it's just the bottom of the top. I'm anxious to get it back over so I can resume work on the top. Okay, great, it's dried overnight. It's nice and dry. I can flip it over, get back started on the top, and I still got to glue up that second pedestal. Okay, I'll just give it a real light sanding with 220 free cut paper, just to smooth it out a little bit. So, you know, as you've seen, this panel came out too light. I think I sanded this top a lot better than the other plywood panels, so it's a lot lighter. So I'm going to mix up a coat with some stain in it and see if I can tone it to look better. I don't mind the contrast, but this is a little bit too much. These are the two stains I mixed for the stain that went on the wood. I don't want any more golden oak, it's already plenty yellow. I'm just going to use the walnut mixed with the finish. This is the varnish. I have a piece of plywood that I stained and sealed. Actually, this is going to be the bottom of one of the pedestals. We'll get into that later. But it gives me something to experiment a little bit, see what my color's like. Yeah, that did a good job, actually. I'm going to wipe that off and then try it on the top. I'm trying to put on the thinnest coat possible. Okay, I'm going to wipe off my edges a little bit here and remove the tape and let it dry. Removing the tape right away helps lessen any little edge that might have developed there. So this is the pedestal. The next one I've got to glue. It's the one that has the door. And, you know, behind this door are these fitments. And I realized I need to put these together and put them in while I'm gluing it up. You can see I've cleaned them and given them a coat of shellac. I was actually able to use the original nails here, because I know they're the right size. I thought I could get by without clamping it, but I ended up having, the boards were just too warped to stay nailed together. I'm jumping back and forth here a bit, but that's the way it is. Anyway, this is dried for 24 hours. I'm not going to sand it because I've got stain in this coat. I'm just going to put a clear coat right over this, but the entire thing edge to. All right, let's see if we can get this glued up. This is where the original glue block went. This is the original glue block. It was never removed off this piece. So now I know I can locate it exactly. Okay, so now I've got to make sure that all the drawers fit and work correctly, and the doors too. I got to get hinges for the door and hang it. So I've got all the drawers fitted, and I've given the insides a quick sanding. I'm taped off the fronts, and now I'm going to seal the drawers with a couple coats of shellac. Okay, the drawers, the interior of the drawers is all finished now, 2 coats of shellac. Now I need to sand these pedestals and stain the new plywood. All right, Stain is dried. Now I can put a coat of varnish on the entire desk. Okay, now it's really looking like a desk. This is what I call a color check. I've assembled it here. Probably should do it on the floor where you're going to see it, but I wanted to be able to move it around. There's a lot of color variation. I don't mind, let you off the hook, but there are some places I want to add color. I'm going to do a toner coat. Like, for instance, these two pieces here. Obviously light. I might put a little on this piece. These two aprons here and here are a little too light. I'll hit those with a color coat. These panels are a little light compared to the surrounding wood. So I may give those, just these panels, a coat. Just this piece a coat. The back is the lightest of all. It looks good, but I don't like these lower boards being light. I may give these a color coat also. I'm not worried about the panels. And this side, this baseboard and this panel will get color coats. And I'll give the top a color coat also, the entire top. So just like last time, I'm going to take about 8 ounces of finish. That's about 1/4 of a liter. And I will add to that, just like last time, about 1.5 ounces, or say 44 milliliters of the brown walnut oil stain. Okay, it's looking good. I won't really know for sure till I put a coat of varnish on everything now. And then another color check, and then hopefully just one more coat after that. But I won't know for sure till I get it on, and I've got different levels of coats on different areas, so I have to deal with that too. Okay, things are looking good here. Everything needs at least one more coat. I'm hoping that's all. But I'm going to go over all this with a little 320 paper and give it another coat. All right, everything's looking good. Now I just gotta put this all together. All right, I want to go over this top with steel wool and polish, and I want to knock down the sheen a little bit. I'm going to use this Howard's Feed and Wax orange oil and beeswax polish. Because I want to cut the sheen down a bit, I'm going to put some of this polish in a little container here. I'm going to add just the smallest amount of pumice. Oh, there you have it. Nice little oak desk from like the turn of the 20th century, like 1900 to 1910, 1920, something like that. The finish I used on it is the original finish that was developed in 1912. So I love using that on this era of pieces too, imagining that that could be the finish they used originally. Now, there's a couple of mysteries about this desk. This business. Now, this isn't much of a mystery because I know what it was for. This activated a mechanism that would lock the lower drawer. Here's the real mystery, is what was that mechanism? Each drawer has a hole in the back right there. So this drawer pushed a lever which pushed something through that hole, but how that would hold the drawer coming out, I don't know. So that's the mystery. There's no trace of the mechanism anywhere. This is just a dummy drawer front. This space was a mystery to me, but I thought it might be a drawer, but there's no drawer stops in the bottom here. Drawer stops are in the top. I thought there was something strange, and I never really had a clue exactly what was going on until I went to finish the handles, and there was an extra handle. And once I saw that extra handle, I knew that this needs to be a drawer. It'll be a file drawer. I'll have the drawer made by like Eagle Woodworking, and then I'll put an oak front on it and finish it. This space was a mystery that I kept waiting for clues, never really got any. There's a very odd thing where the drawer and the drawer runner runs straight into the opening. There doesn't appear to have ever been any door here. There's holes for screws, but they were never used. Inside there was a shelf. This is the back panel that I replaced. This was on the back of here, so we know there was a shelf in there. That's all we know. Nothing ever turned up as a clue. The reason I didn't do anything about the drawer and that opening yet is I just kept waiting for clues to emerge. And of course, now that I know there was a drawer there, I need to do a reinvigorated search of the barn. There's a lot of stuff in the barn. I need to go through it, make sure it's not there before I proceed. And I just wanted to get this done. I can still use it like this. I still don't have any idea of what I will use this space for. I love this space. Well, something will develop. And maybe I'll make a door for that side. Similar situation, though, I'm not sure those are very useful. I may do it anyway. I think it looks pretty good. At one point I quit keeping my time on this. I'm going to estimate I had about 80 hours into it, and I used these tools and materials. If only I had a nice chair to go with it.